This video explains how the Avatax works within Spire. Now, Avatax is a tax calculation system that calculates taxes for every region automatically, so you don't have to maintain a tax list within Spire. But what happens is that the Avatax is a web service that connects with Spire, and as you sell product, it'll automatically calculate the taxes based on the region it is being sold into. And that could be a city, it could be a state, it could be a province, it could be a section within a state, it could be a county, and it'll automatically calculate. You never have to worry about figuring out what tax you need to charge. And then Avatax will give you a report or even submit those taxes for you depending how you set your account up with them. So let's get started on how to set this up. So first of all, we need to go into the server administrator. And we go into integrations and we select Avatax. And under the setup, you want to put in your account number that they've given you and the license key that they give you. And in my case, I'm using a sandbox environment, so I check that off. So when you're first trying it out, you do that. Then you hit save on that. Then you hit manage access and you decide which of your companies have access to that. So I've selected this one here. Okay. Once I've done that, in Spire itself, you want to start with setting up a sales tax. So all you need is a single sales tax for Avatax. And I've got one set up here with a code of 99, and I've described it as Avatax. Short name is what prints down on the bottom of your form. So you may just want to change that to sales tax. Oops. Okay. You tick off integrated, and when you do that, a lot of these fields are grayed out because you don't have to worry about the rate or whether to apply to freight or surcharges or things like that because Avatax takes care of all that for you. You do need to have a GL account set up where the Avatax is posted to. Like I said, it posts to a single GL account, and you get the report from Avatax as to which taxes you need to pay, or like I said, they'll pay them for you. Once you set that, just save it. Okay, and the next area that you want to look at is your product codes. So if you leave everything else alone, then it will charge taxes, the same taxes for all customers, depending on the region, of course, and for all inventory items alike. But you can further define inventory items and customers by giving it a type of inventory. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So if I go into, first of all, product codes, so groups of products, you don't have to do individual items. If I take, say, supplements, you'll see I've got a tax provider code on here of 0500. And the way I looked at that was I went look up, and this, what I'm looking at right here is not data that's inside of Spire, but data that is in the Avatax web service. We're reaching out on the web right now to see this. So if I type in supplements, and I search for it. I gotta spell that right first. Supplement. Then I search for it. Well. Okay, and it shows up all the different types of supplements that happen to be in here. And I see here food, supplements, nutrients, and supplies, and I chose that one. So now any item that's in the product code of SUPP will have that tax code tax charged. Now that's what it does then is it looks at every area you search in, and if there's a special tax that can be charged for supplements, it'll do so. If another area or another state or province or whatever doesn't have that special tax, then it will not use that. So once you've set it up, it's set up, okay? You can also individually go into inventory items and do exactly the same thing. So if I go into an item and I go to the prices and units tab, and inside of prices and units, we'll find the same thing here, sales tax provider code. And we look up here and same thing, we can search and set a particular item to that tax code, okay? That's then the inventory. Then in customers, we can do the same thing. We can go to the the sales tax section, and they're already set for Avatax, you see here. But so what you do is you come here and just set them for that tax. So if they're set for something else and now you've moved into Avatax, you can go and change that on the customer. And I'll show you how you can do that on a group of customers as well. And then if we go to the billing tab, you'll see they have a tax entity code. So if they're a type of industry that doesn't pay tax in certain areas, they're tax exempt for some reason because of the type of company they are, then it'll automatically, for that state, province, county, whatever, be a different tax or no tax, depending on what that entity code is. Okay, so now you may want to change taxes for a whole group of customers at once. So if they're in a certain state or whatever, you can either do this from the customer list and group highlight them and then hit the edit button and then change their taxes here. But the problem with that is you're not going to pick up all their ship tos because they're not listed on this list. So the area that you can get all ship tos on a customers is under addresses. So under customers from the top menu, click addresses, and from here you can sort by whatever columns you want to be able to find all your customers that need to go into that new tax code. Then hit update tax codes, and then if they have a couple of tax codes already set here, you would delete them and just add in tax code 99 if that's the one you want to use. Oops. 99, and then hit OK, and that whole group of customers, including all their ship tos, because they are listed here. If I sort this actually by type, you'll see I got some shipping ones above here, and this top one here is a shipping address from Jackson Fitness Center. So it'll catch all of them at the same time. Okay, so because shipping is sometimes charged differently, you may want to set up your shipping codes themselves as well. So if I go under shipping methods, and if I pick one of them, you'll see here I also have a sales tax provider code. So if I choose a shipping provider code off the Avalara list here, then shipping will properly get charged in each jurisdiction. Okay, another one. If I look in a sale, you'll see that on a line that we have, if we put a line on an item, we can add what's called a levy. So that's like a disposal fee or an electronic disposal fee, or a WE, they call it in some places. So here is our levy codes. And if I close that, levy codes. Okay, so if I look up the levy code here, I can choose one of them and edit it. And you'll see again a sales tax provider code, so that again in certain jurisdictions there's no tax, or there is tax in some cases on a tax in this case. So tax on tax in some places, and of course that does happen. Okay. Next, we go under edit company settings. Then to sales orders and to surcharges, again, there is a tax provider code there, because surcharges, which is things like shop fees and fuel surcharges or whatever like that, whatever you happen to use it for, it may have a tax provider code as well. And again, charge tax or no tax or lower tax in a certain jurisdiction. Okay, and again, in some jurisdictions, the tax that gets charged is sometimes based on where it's shipped from. So because Spire allows you to have multiple warehouses, you need to go under warehouse edit and make sure that you have a complete address in each of these warehouses, because when the sales order is processed, it will use this as a ship from address and therefore charge the correct tax. And I think in most cases it's the tax is charged on the ship to location, but it is, I know in some jurisdictions it's the from. So they want to see that on the documentation as well. So be sure that these are all set up correctly. So you may have a few warehouses, and even if you only have a single warehouse, just make sure that the address is set up correctly on there. Okay, again, about addresses, let's go back to customers. So let's pick this customer here, and you'll see there's their address. But in some cases, you may not have that quite accurate. So by clicking this validate address button, it'll reach out to the Avatax web service again and then suggest a new address. So in this case, it's saying that 136 Adelaide Street should have an east on it based on the postal code and such. So you can say yes, and it will correct that address and put east on there as well. And that same validate address is you'll see in many places throughout the program wherever there's an address. Okay. Yeah, we'll close that. Okay, so once you're all set up, let's just go into sales. Okay, so then we'll add a new sales order and pick a customer we know has been set up for the Avatax. So as soon as we add it, the customer to the order, we'll see down here that the word sales tax, that's what we wrote as our short name for the Avatax. And notice the asterisk beside it. That means that tax has not yet been calculated on this order. So if I add in an item, okay, and insufficient quantity, we'll just force ship it. Okay, and you'll see that tax is still at 0, and it's got the asterisk on it as well. So if I just add in a couple more items, okay, let's just go again, and okay. And now, if we can either hit save on the order, or save and close, or print, because printing does save this as well, or we can hit the calculate taxes button. And if you do a drop down, you can also say show tax breakdown. So I'll just hit calculate taxes, and you'll see now it says $10.28, and the asterisk is not there anymore. Now, we just, like I said, we just collect the $10.28, and after the fact, we figure out who the money is owed to because Avalara reports that to us. But if you want to see that, I go show tax breakdown. You'll see here in this case, it's got the taxes that are calculated for those items. So there's Washington state tax, there's no county tax, and there's a city tax based on the address. Okay, so that's properly calculated. If I add another item to the order now, like that, you'll see the asterisk comes back and it's not yet calculated. But you won't make a mistake and forget to calculate, because like I said, as soon as you hit the print button or the save button, it will automatically calculate it before it actually prints. Okay, so I'll calculate the tax again, and then I can also go to the ship to address, have a look at here. I can go validate address here as well. And again, it says, do you want to replace it? Because it's not quite correct, and I can say yes on it. And it's possible by doing that that the tax amount has changed, but you'll see that in this case it had not. Okay. All right, so now we're ready to invoice it. So we're going to click the invoice button, put it on account in this case, and then it's going to print off the invoice, and there's my breakdown. So let's have a look at the calculations here, and you'll see that the Avatax, the $10.67, is going to that account we set up in the GL for the Avalara tax. So I click OK, and I'm going to print off my invoice. I won't bother printing that. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is check on the invoice in sales history. So we go there, and we'll just sort this by date to get the last one at the top there. And if we look at the order, again, it still has a 1067, but sometime in the future, you may want to check the tax that got charged on that. So again, at the top, you can click on show tax breakdown, and you'll see all the taxes that were charged as they were on the sales order. Okay, so once you've posted an invoice, you can log on to the Avatax system. So that's where I am right here. And if I go to the transactions, you'll see all the transactions that have happened through. There's a bunch of tests that happen here. So I'm just going to choose a date range of just today and apply it. And you'll see that there's an order right here that has the customer that I did. If I go into it, you'll see that there is a copy, really, of the invoice of what I sold to the customer. And if we move that aside for a second and go to sales history, and we go into that order there. So there's that order. And there's the exact same order here in their interface, with of course just the freight shown as a separate line here, because it does calculate tax separately on freight as well here. So you'll see that basically it's a great way to match up and report on taxes. The actual reporting of taxes and how you run those, you should check with Avalara, and they provide training on that, and how to submit taxes and as well. So yeah, that's the integration for Avalara, Avatax into Spire.